Welcome back. It's the Benchwarmers, and today we're going to be talking about All-Star Weekend and the events and our take on whether it was ultimately worth it. First, we're going to start with the skills challenge.
I'm going to talk about the Taco Bell skills challenge. The participants were Luka, Sabonis, Randall, Vucevic, Chris Paul, and Robert Covington. And the way that it came down was Sabonis went against Vucevic in the final round, and they both just finessed their competition all the way. They made all of their passes on the first try, and they were very efficient from the three-point line. But in the final round, they both made all of their passes on the first try once again, and they both choked at the end and missed a bunch of three-pointers. But Sabonis ended up scoring first and winning, and it was interesting to see how the big men actually outplayed the smaller players and proved to be more skillful in the skill challenge. Now I'm going to talk about the parts that I found the funniest, and I have 3 of these to share. The first one was when the commentator was announcing the players, and he was calling everyone these 3-time All-Stars, these 2-time All-Stars, and these 10-time All-Stars. But when they got to Robert Covington, they just said he puts in the work and has that defense, which was a little bit disrespectful, and it was quite funny as a viewer. But it's also even funnier because Robert Covington is just not good in 2K, even though he's 81 overall. Another funny moment was when Shaq said CP3 is going to miss a layup when CP3 is going for the layup, and then he actually missed it. And it was really funny to see probably the best player in the competition, the most seasoned veteran, missing the layup. The third funny moment was when Sabonis got confused when the interviewer, after he won the competition, was asking him who the trophy was for or who the trophy should be dedicated to, sort of. And then Sabonis did not understand the question and asked her to repeat it twice. And then he finally just said, I don't know. But after a few seconds, he gave a full response. So it was pretty funny to see him being confused at that question.
But next, we have to talk about the dunk contest. And this was probably the most controversial, I would say, from the whole All-Star event. So first of all, the competitors were Cassius Stanley, Obi Toppin, and Anthony Simons. And just those 3 players alone is what made the dunk contest like disappointing to a lot of people. No real big names, and also not a lot of personality, which I think the dunk contest largely relies on. It's not all about the dunks, but it's also, the style and stuff like that. And I think actually the dunks were actually not that bad, like especially the first few. But yeah, it's just really the lack of star players and the lack of personality, I guess, is what made it disappointing. And as well as that, I think like the players didn't have a great strategy, because I thought that the dunks that were in the finals were probably worse than the dunks in the qualifiers. Like I think if Obi did like his first or even his second dunk in the finals, he would have probably won. But overall, I just think it was not a great dunk contest. Yeah, so overall, I think a lot of fans found the dunk contest disappointing, as did I. I think in the future, they need to make sure that they have like actual players that will garner like real support from fans that are actually like big names in order for the contest to be exciting.
The last non-All-Star game contest was the three-point contest. The participants were Stephen Curry, Zach LaVine, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Mike Conley, who was replacing Devin Booker, who was injured. So there was a few things which are interesting about it. Honestly, it went off pretty well. I mean, the addition of the Mountain Dew shot in the past couple of years has been really good. And seeing Steph Curry in this new format was really awesome. He got a new record of 31, which is the highest total score in a live performance in All-Star Weekend. In his first round, ended up beating Mike Conley on the last shot of the finals, putting him at 28 points over Conley's 27. Many fans were really surprised to see Mike Conley perform so well, especially considering he's not known as a really good three-point shooter, especially in Memphis. But since he's joined Utah, he's definitely worked on that part of his game a lot more. Honestly, this is probably the best received event of the weekend, including the All-Star game, as many of the other ones had some issues, as explained with the dunk contest and the skills challenge. But then we move on to the All-Star game. The All-Star game, once again, was in the captain format. It was Team LeBron, Team KD, but a combination of injuries, virus protocol, and replacements which couldn't be fulfilled ultimately dampened the performance a little bit and didn't make it as fun as it used to. Team LeBron won every single quarter. And after halftime, it seemed like neither team was really into it, and they ended up mostly shooting threes. I think there was a stat that around 80 to 90% of made field goals in the second half were 3-pointers, which just comes to show like how the 3-point contest ended up not doing the best. Like I think overall there were 133 3-pointers attempted in the All-Star game, which is just insane. Normally in a typical game, there's maybe 180 shots put up. So it just gives you a little bit of frame of reference as to what type of game the All-Star game was. So Team LeBron did win. They ended up donating, I think, around 500,000 to HBCUs from that game, because like three for each quarter and then 300 for the final. But it was definitely very interesting to watch. It was good to see a lot of these All-Stars play, and it was good to see a lot of these first-time All-Stars get their first like limelight performance, if you will. You see players like Zach LaVine, Jaylen Brown, and Zion Williamson. But I pose this question to you. Because of the pandemic, there were no fans in the stands, and all of the events were in one day. So was it ultimately worth it, considering the amount of virus protocols, the amount of changing of the style of the game, the excitement around the game, and the players who had to miss it ultimately because of protocol? Was it even worth it?
My personal opinion on this is no, but actually for a different reasoning. I don't think it's because of the virus protocols or the injuries or stuff like that. I think it's really about the players and how much they actually want to participate. I think like the main like thing that the All-Star kind of relies upon to be exciting is when the players enjoy it. And I think that was also a large reason why the 3-point contest was well received. You could see the players were kind of joking around and having fun. Whereas I feel like in some of the other events, they didn't actually want to play. And that was seen like through the dunk contest as well. I think if they actually got like some star players to want to play, then they could have had it. And they only got these like players like Obi Toppin and Cassius Stanley because they because like it's like their first, it's like they're like rookies, they're young players, they want the attention. But they need actual stars to be kind of enjoying the event in order for the event to be successful.
I agree with Andy. I think it wasn't good that some players had to miss the event because of COVID protocols, but I think that what really brought the event down was how the players just weren't into it. And I think the event still could have functioned well, even with all of the COVID protocols in place. And I thought it was a really good idea to keep the fans motivated and excited about the NBA. But with every event, with like most of the events that went on that weekend, it just wasn't that good. If you look at this, the LNBA Skills Challenge, Luca just wasn't trying. Covington really wasn't trying. They both looked pretty lazy and they didn't just look into it. And it was mostly just Sabonis like sweating and trying his best, and the other players just didn't really care that much about it, so it wasn't as interesting. Same thing with the dunk contest. I think the players were trying, but they were just doing the dunks. They weren't like celebrating or doing anything special about it. And the fans just weren't excited because they just didn't know who these people were. I just didn't know who Anthony Simons was before this event. And Obi Toppin, I guess, was the biggest name player, and that really goes to show that it wasn't that great. I do agree the 3-point contest was good, and in the actual game, the players just weren't into it. They're just shooting threes instead of actually having fun with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm probably a little bit more favorable towards the game, but I do recognize that the fact that All-Star Weekend is generally mostly a fan-motivated event. It's supposed to be the fans are the ones voting in the All-Star starters. They're the one reacting to the crazy dunks. They sort of even motivate the players. If you saw the players' reactions to the dunks at halftime, many of them like weren't impressed or weren't caring or weren't even watching, which just sort of didn't make the dunk contest as fun. Honestly, I think the 3-point contest was really solid, but I think that was probably the only event which is solid. I think I do agree with the mindset shift argument that if you want to make it more fun, and this is sort of an old head argument, if you will, you got to make the players actually want to play defense. And that was sort of seen when it was a really close game between Team LeBron and Team Steph. I think that first year where they had it, I think that was probably the best All-Star game I have personally watched. So if they can make it more close to that, even if it obviously can't be controlled because like scoring. But yeah, I think that definitely would be something interesting to see. So that wraps it up What is your opinion? Was the All-Star Game even worth it? But that is our takes on this weekend. This is the Benchwarmers, and we're signing off. See ya.